Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left is David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And as always, check us out on Twitter, @WGLNA, so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the community around you.
While you're at it, if you haven't already, go ahead and check out battleviewer.com.
Yep.
You can watch the stream just as you usually do, same Twitch chat you're always used to. You can get easy access to match standings, match listings, YouTube, Twitter, and fantasy right down there in the bottom right. So as we've said a number of times already, there's no reason for you not to check it out. And everything is better on battleviewer.com.
That is right. And speaking of fantasy, like Dave was saying, at the bottom right hand of your corner, you guys can click on that, check out. Just go straight to the your listings without even leaving the site. You can still see the stream up there. And as fantasy works, you guys pick your 7 players before the night starts. They accumulate points for you as the battles go on, and points can lead to tons of prizes, such as in-game premium time, in-game gold, and as always, in-game premium takes like the Hype 59 you can't get anywhere else. But enough of me talking about it. Let's watch the clip. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, fantasy, WGL.com. Now, David, for this kind of matchups, I did see maybe one matchup going along, but I assumed that was maybe kind of a risk, so I decided to do an even spread all out. 7 players, 7 different teams. What about you? What did you choose?
I mean, it's not a bad betting strategy in general, although some teams do tend to produce more points than others.
Yeah.
Just because they actually they kill more tanks. Some
Sure.
teams prefer to cap. Like High Voltage has a higher point average for most of their players.
Oh, got that.
Because they tend to finish most of their tanks. But whatever. So for me, the match tonight that stands the best chance of generating the most points, I think, is Synergy and Lamp. So I'm going to go ahead and at least double up on that one. All
right, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You still have time to do that quickly, but do it quickly. Now let's take a look at this. Actually, last week's match. If you guys missed everything from Thursday, we had some explosive matches for you guys. Up first, we had Synergy losing to High Voltage 3-5, followed by Refuse clean sweeping game over 5-0. Third was #RU losing to Lamp 1-5, and finally Noble losing to Simp in a tiebreaker 4-5. Now, David, out of all those matches, let's go ahead go through them each one by one. First, Synergy versus High Voltage. They actually tied up on Lakeville, 2-2. Synergy had a really fun fast cap there. But then I think we moved into, it was Himmelsdorf, where High Voltage just kind of took the lead there. What are some of the highlights you saw?
I think Synergy brought a level of gameplay to Lakeville that High Voltage hasn't come across yet.
Sure, yeah.
Not necessarily in general, but on that specific map. And that's typically a map that I believe High Voltage is very good at.
Okay.
And in that instance, Synergy kind of having their number. A couple critical mistakes on both sides. But either way, great play from Synergy on that map. Moving into Himmelsdorf, as score suggests, and as you already covered, Himmelsdorf was pretty much under High Voltage's control the whole time. I wonder how well Synergy might have done with Pub Whisperer around.
That's right.
But other than that, I don't know.
All right, well, that is something that is in the past. Next match was Refuse versus Game Over Refuse, clean sweeping Game Over 5-0. On Mines, they had just clear control. Moving into, I think it was Ghost Town for the final one. Swept them up there. Anything you saw from that?
Team Refuse is very high in the standings for a good reason.
Yeah.
And when a team with some of the logistical issues and the track record of Game Over plays a team like Refuse, that's pretty much what you get. I didn't see Refuse really doing anything special. A lot of it was just playing their game and not having to break anything out. Because they have fantastic players and they've got better connections. Why stress themselves about it too much?
That's right. Well, and they did that very well. Third, we had #RU going down to Lamp 1-5. Now, Lamp was started on Himmelsdorf. They lost their first match. They brought a few KV5s and some other interesting tanks where they lost, but then they won 5 games in a row after that, showing some crazy psychic abilities. When you went back and watched that, is there anything that you saw of why they did that, or explain what you saw coming out of those matches?
So, from what I saw, the first match, I can't even really comment on.
Okay.
2 SU-85s, sure, it has potential, I guess. It has as much potential for success as it does for failure. Actually, probably more potential for failure overall. But I would say the latter 5 games, the later 5 games, it seemed a lot like what we've seen from Baby Halo in the past. So he's back. Perhaps he's back in charge, but we should ask them about it when it comes around.
That's a good point. So hopefully we can get to that. So stay tuned. But fourth and finally, we had Noble losing to Simp in that tiebreaker, 4-5. Now we started out. Noble took 3 games on mine. Then it went to Simp. They took 3 games on Himmelsdorf. It went to the Ghost Town, where Simp got to choose attack or defense. They chose defense, and it worked out for him. What are some of the things you saw from that final matchup?
I mean, I hate to be rude about it, and I hate to make people feel bad because they probably will when I say this. But that was a lot of throws in a row by Noble, a lot of them.
Well, it was 1-4.
I went back and watched that match, that whole match, all the different games, several times.
Yeah.
Trying to reason out different things that happened there, and quite frankly, they were in position. They had it all in their all in the palm of their hand. And when it went to the tiebreaker, they even had that, and they being Noble. And they talked themselves out of it. They made critical mistakes, and Simp took it. Not to say that Simp didn't play well in a variety of those games, but Noble should have had that many times over.
All right, well, I guess Simp is extremely happy then coming out with those standings. Speaking of standings, let's take a look at the standings now, starting our 7th week. There's 2 more weeks to go here. Up on top, we still have Refuse, 23 points, holding that first place position, followed closely again by High Voltage at 22. Then we got eLevate below them. Down at the bottom, Game Over, Maple Freedom, and Rival still down lower half of the brackets. Got the rest of the teams in the middle. Now, David, coming into this week, we are pretty much all caught up, right? Every team has played. There's no 3-game deficits, 2-game deficits.
I think they're all within 1-game deficit.
Okay.
Yes, everybody's within. It's either 8 or 9 games overall. So no huge difference like there was last week.
Yeah, but still, even with this catch-up, we're still expecting to see some crazy changing and things happening in the brackets that might be unpredictable.
Lamp and #RU in particular can cause some serious havoc throughout the brackets right now.
All right, well, speaking of what we got going on for you guys tonight, let's take a look at our matchups. Up first, we're going to have eLevate versus Rival, followed by Maple Freedom versus High Voltage. Third is going to be 07 versus Game Over, and finally Synergy versus Lamp. And David, out of the 4 matches tonight, which one are you most excited to see, and who do you think is going to take it?
Synergy versus Lamp.
Okay.
I still think Synergy's going to win, as long as Synergy shows up and they play the kind of game we've seen them play against a variety of top teams. I mean, they could easily be top 4 if they weren't for the bad start. But Lamp is playing a very chaotic game, a game that I personally, that is my nightmare of a team to play right now.
Really?
Because they're, in a sense, they have nothing to lose, but they're also fairly good. So they have these kinds of strategies where if you don't play a spread control kind of game like eLevate does, you're vulnerable to the kind of thing Lamp's doing right now. eLevate's probably one of the stronger teams. Probably Simp and Noble would do it as well. Whatever. I'm not going to get into all the details. But that's the team that I think, or the match that I think is going to go the longest, or perhaps has the potential to go the longest.
Okay.
If Lamp plays the best they can and Synergy plays the best they can.
I
don't know. I don't know.
Well, there is one way to find out. We can check it out. For me personally, I'm excited to see our first matchup, actually, eLevate versus Rival. I'm interested to see that dynamic. Rival playing eLevate before coming out of the Silver League. They practiced a lot together. They were a really close team. So I'll be interested to see what they can if they have anything up their sleeve that can use that knowledge to their advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for our pregame show. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't go anywhere. If you're going to go somewhere, go to battleviewer.com. But we'll be right back with match number 1 after this.
With only a minute and 20, only way for Rival to effectively win is to cap.
Oh no, Hall getting absolutely lit up. Beautiful focus fire. Vetro picking up that kill. Synergy trying to take cover. Mako's going down. Everyone running right into the line of 07's fire.
Time.
There we go. Vade taking that monster truck, going on the way, aggressive, pushing extremely aggressive, finding the ram damage, taking Eclipse down immediately. #you are ready, losing a tank, and now Master Boot looks like he's going to be the next focus for coming in at TP4, taking more damage than 972, going inside of that lightweight. One more shot, and he'll go down, and Vade's going to pick it up. Young money, cash money. The cap fast has been put on. It is now at 8 seconds, getting reset there. 15, now down to 8 again, going back and forth. Let's see how long High Voltage can keep this up, because if they let it go any further, Synergy Gaming should be able to take this. Blue Boys captain rushing back in his 1390, as well as Anfield down into 3 seconds. 2, 1, they need to get a reset. They do just in time, but it's going down to 0. Let's see if Synergy Gaming has it. High Voltage has not been able to reset it, and they get it. go. Let's see how they do. Wall has come out of the corner. He's the first one to get focused. 1,200 damage, one more shot. He'll go down, but there's the reset. Going through a lot of damage on 1,400, getting extremely low, just 17 health. Blue Boys captain picking that one up. And now Tanks going back and forth. The shots going through. J-Smooth coming off the hill, trying to chase down and try to get in this fight as soon as he can. Head 20 getting dropped to a little below half. 757 is 5,100. Has decided to put the reload on J-Smooth, picking that one up a couple of shots. He's got to find some safety there. Blue Boys captain, more damage, and Token finding another pickup, but Pride gonna respond by taking Token down in that ice. Chasing him down over the courtyard. We've got Fight Breast Cancer against a T-37. Fight Breast Cancer picking that one up. A beautiful shot there. Tank Destroyer mode coming out for the RD. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left is David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA. As always, if you're not watching this on BattleViewer.com, go over there and check it out right now. And also follow us on Twitter @WGLNA so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the community around you.
You can also check out the question of the day, which is one we alluded to last week. What should we call the Rheinmetall Borzig Waffenträger?
That is right. Man, that pronunciation, good job on that pronunciation,
I
man.
probably still wasn't right.
No, that was fantastic. for me, I've done a lot of research, a lot of emotional heart searching, and I'm going to go with the waffle. I think it's called the waffle. That's what I've been learning. I think it's a fantastic name for that. But that's me. What about you?
There's really three colloquially used options around that I've found, right? So there's the waffle, there's the Roomba, and then there's the more technically accurate, just Borzig, or Borzig.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that one, because I feel like it's kind of my job to be accurate.
That's your job, yeah. And you do it very well, David. So you guys can debate that in chat. But right now, our first matchup of the night, eLevate versus Rival. The face-off is ready for the side of eLevate. We've got Zoid for the side of Rival. We've got Spanish. Both of you gentlemen, welcome back to the face-off.
What's up, guys?
Nothing much. Zoid, I'm going to go ahead and start with you guys. Just a question I've asked a few other teams, and I just kind of want to hear eLevate's perspective on it, or I guess your perspective on behalf of the team. If you guys could replay any match so far this season, which one would it be?
I think it's going to be the #RU match. I thought #RU played really, really well against us. I thought it was a great match for everybody to watch, but they've really dropped in the rankings, and having one of those losses on our record where a team ended up trailing off on the season is something that's, it could be the difference between us being first and second or third or fourth.
Okay, well, yeah, that if I could change one that would make that difference, I would definitely go back and choose that one. So I think that's a wise choice on your end.
That is seriously the worst, but we'll get into that a little bit. I've been through the same thing dozens of times. All right, so we've asked other teams this question as well, and you can't answer yourself.
That's right.
Who do you think the best team in the league is other than eLevate?
I'm going to go HWC. I think they're playing really strong right now. The addition of Dekillzor, I think, really solidified a team that a lot of people at the start said were a lot of different players may not have the synergy. Adding those strategies, adding his knowledge of the game, I think has really, really helped excel them to a very tough spot to beat in the league.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what the rest of the league has been saying. High voltage, definitely people to look out for. Zoid, thank you for that. Spanish, going over to you, sir. Now, the first question is, you guys have a lot of history between you and eLevate, who you guys are going up against tonight. Is there anything you guys want to say about that?
Well, hello, eLevate, first of all. Yeah, we have quite a good amount of history together. Zoid and I started playing a few years back together, and now we're both here in the Gold League on separate teams, and, we're having fun with it.
Awesome.
We're going to have a good time tonight.
Good, yeah, we'll keep having fun with it. It's fun to see you guys doing that. It'll be fun to kind of go against an old friend.
All right, Absolutely. Speaking of having fun, who would you say is the biggest personality, the biggest character on your team? Every team has one, at least one.
It's not the guy with the hat right now, right?
See, I would answer myself, but my teammates would kill me for that because of my bad puns. So I guess I'm going to have to go with HK. He has a pretty dry, random sense of humor, and it never fails to crack us up.
That's awesome. I would always love to have that kind of going on during a game. So, Zoid, before we get started, anything you have to say to Spanish before we get into the battle?
Like always, good luck, have fun.
Spanish, your response.
I always have to pay mention to the sombrero and the power of the sombrero, so good luck against the sombrero powers.
That's right. Gentlemen, best of luck to both of you. We'll see you guys in the battle shortly.
Thank you.
Spanish still well under his transformation here.
Oh.
Almost complete.
He's getting there. The question is, will we see it this season, or are we going to have to wait maybe another time?
No.
Stay tuned. But first, let's actually pull the rosters on both these teams before we kind of get into the discussion. David, any changes out of both these teams since the rosters?
Nope. Both of these teams stayed the same.
Great.
And as we've discussed a number of times, it's hard to pick favorites from the eLevate team. A lot of times, Static, Zone Delta, Arclit all do fairly well. It kind of depends on the day who gets the highest points there, or who does the best. I mean, I don't want to just talk about fantasy points.
Right.
I feel like I spent a lot of time on that, but quite frankly, there's a whole different aspect to the game. I mean, we could talk synergy, for example, where it's not synergy. We'll hold that thought. Talk about that when we get to synergy.
Yeah.
So for Rival here, it's World War II Fnatic stands out as one of the most important players, both in terms of his overall gameplay, and his fantasy points as well.
Okay.
Another one who kind of fills that role is Valkyrie Vuas, whose points typically aren't up there, but he does a lot of exploratory stuff, a lot of track shots. You can look at his actual statistics, and they're very important to the overall contribution of the battle, even if he doesn't quite, shine as brightly as Fnatic would on the fantasy scores. He is just as important for the overall team dynamic.
Absolutely. Now, kind of talking about these teams breaking down before we get in, noticing that eLevate has a very spread defense, a lot of control over the maps when they play. Rival, it's going to be interesting to see if they break that today, as we're getting now, ladies and gentlemen, ready for our first matchup of the night. eLevate versus Rival, starting off on Lakeville. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
All right, eLevate in red, fittingly.
Yeah.
With the AMX 5100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX 12T. Team Rival in blue with 3 IS-3s, an Object 416, 2 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. It is worth noting, Rival is on defense, eLevate is on offense, so the entire kind of spread control conversation we've had is somewhat irrelevant right now, as eLevate's on offense, and they tend to mix it up on offense.
Okay.
Sometimes they do kind of a spread, exploratory thing, take advantage of the other team. Other times, they prompt a specific response, like the notorious Ruinberg Tiger 1 strategy.
Right.
You have to... Ooh, HK already getting drilled right off the bat.
Wow.
Dark God Zim getting an early spot out of that position we've seen a number of times at F7.
I know, already. And the more shots fired going out, just going to the top, and Dark God Zim now be the one to take some response there. Getting dropped about half health in his 12T. Both of the scouting tanks low from both the teams. Now, David, looking at HK's position, now that he's there, I mean, is he just kind of stuck there?
Yes, HK can't go anywhere. He'll get lit by Dark God Zim, and that is one of the major reasons why Dark God Zim was kind of rocking back and forth there, I believe, is to keep eyes and see if perhaps he can see that T-37 running out. Now the T-37 is under fire from Emerly. Not sure he can exactly escape out of that. He does have enough bush cover here of camouflage to get around a little bit, but there are small gaps on the sides of this rock where that tree line doesn't actually fully cover you, and you'll get spotted moving in and out of them. So you kind of have to get a brief moment to slip out of here. Looks like he did knock down a tree, probably by just convenience. I don't know if he knocked that one down for a better view. It doesn't look like it's going to actually make a difference, but he's relatively stuck there. Yes.
Yeah, that's got to be a problem. Now, having a tank like that, even though it is a smaller tier tank, your light tank, your scout, is that something that now Rival has to work around, knowing that their tank is kind of stuck there? Can you use that to any sort of advantage? Like, all right, well, hopefully eLevate's going to make sure they have some resources to take this down. Let's flank around behind them, or
right. So one thing that it opens up.
Oh,
well, now that he's dead, it opens up even more.
Nothing now.
The only thing that it opened up was it made it more feasible and a better option for eLevate to go into the 1-2 line, because the entire ocean area or lake area is covered. And while they could go through it to get that angle and kill him, it's kind of playing into what Rival wants. Knowing that these 3 IS-3s, or that there are 3 IS-3s on Rival's side, knowing that Dark God Zim did get the spots he needed right off the bat, and that Dark God Zim does have, let me double check this, does have the appropriate equipment to see as far as he needs, that being the binoculars or debatably the optics, they can assume that those IS-3s are still locked into the eastern side of the map.
Gotcha.
Which, from there, a team like eLevate is actually getting ready to come down the 1-2 line, so let's squeeze this out. Can assume that the Object 416 will be supporting those, leaving at most those 2 T-54 lightweights to stop in the 1-2. So basically, eLevate knows exactly where all the tanks Rival are right now. If everything went according to plan, and no weird things happen. So they can make a lot of strategic calls based off of that alone. They're making them right now, and this should be a situation that develops into eLevate's favor, provided they do everything they need to do correctly. There's obviously tons of room for mistakes and counter moves, like this one that T-54s are coming up into the 4 line right now.
Let's see what happens. Now G-Force and Urtai now on that center road as the Django's coming to join him from the side of Rival, but shot being fired from across the lake for eLevate Static. You know, his T-54 lightweight, but G-Force looks like he's the focus there, and he's going to go down. Urtai picking that one up, now tying it a 6-6 over here on both of these tanks. And now the Django and Urtai in the center. They might be able to get out of there. Looks like there's no immediate danger. Taking some more shots from the Static who's backing further into the town, but the base capture has been applied. It looks like we have 2 tanks on that. 23 seconds now going down. Shot into Urtai, 265 points there. And then we're going to turn our attention over here to the cap. So we got Zone Delta and Arclit and 2 IS-3s there just defending that, going back and forth, using a little bit of rock for cover. 15 seconds now on the clock. Let's see what Rival can do to respond to this as Urtai, another chunk of damage going down to Dark God. Zim picking that one up. Hall going to respond by taking Dark God himself down, but 10 seconds left, and it's just Revamp and World War II Fnatic on the run. A shot going into Zone Delta. That's a nice little bit of damage there. Enough for a reset. The Django's coming around. Another shot, just 52, but again, the resets are going through. David, like you're saying, those are HP shots coming out of that object. 416, I believe it is. Revamp pushing up even further, dropping below half health. The Django getting a nice little position. Swipple just trying to make sure no, the shots go through into Zone Delta. Another shot. The reset's going through. Looks like most of the points here are on Arclit. That's the next reset, and he gets it. Again, not much damage, but the resets are perfect there. Let's see how the rest of eLevate respond. Damrelly up on top, going around the Static. Looks like he's going to find a fight for himself with Anubis in the city. He's extremely low, trying to do his best to go against an Arclit, picking up Revamp. And another tank falling down. Anubis finds Static, and there's now a 4-on-4. Back and forth, the tanks are falling, but the resets are coming through for World War II Fnatic and the Django. If they can keep this up, they might be able to keep whittling these 2 IS-3s down before there's enough time. Swipple trying to reposition himself. The Django punishing him for pushing up from that T-54. And let's see how much longer Team Rival is going to allow this to happen. The question is, will eLevate be able to cap in time or do enough damage as the rest of Rival pushes through it? And Dave, looking right now, it's maybe a few seconds. Amaralee's position up in the north. What is he doing right now? What is his main purpose?
Looks like he just backed off enough to clip, but he's drastically out of the fight. There's not really a whole lot of time for him to get into it. He needs to basically come directly down the 4 line in order to get there quickly, or perhaps the 7 line. 7 line's probably a little bit slower. Actually, it's faster and it's better. 7 line's the best option he's got right now, and perhaps he can backdoor the rest of these guys and save this battle.
All right, let's see if he makes it in time. 1 minute and 9 seconds left in the entire battle. Team Rival just needs to hold on for that much longer, and will be able to take this. So Django gets dropped extremely low in his T-54. He has to be careful. Hall now stopping to try to get a nice little position on these tanks. World 2 Fnatic pushing up as well as Anubis coming to join the fight. Amarlee is loaded in that 5100, but World War II Fnatic finds Swipple. That was really the last defense that eLevate had, with the rest of these tanks of Rival to push on to these 2 IS-3s now. Arclit still maintaining the front position. Zone Delta doing a good job getting behind him. Nice little HP sharing there coming there. Hashtag Battle Buddies going through. Amarlee on the other side of the town going to that D8 position. Keep on pushing his way through. 25 seconds on the clock, but 33 seconds on the entire battle. Again, Rival just need to keep getting these resets and then stay alive. And they will be able to take it since they are the ones on defense. Anubis taking some shots for Amarlee there. It looks like he reloaded. I'm not sure if he got all the shots out that he decided to, but he's not going to have his shots up in time for the rest of the time. So now it's going Zone Delta pushing on forward. They do not have enough time to actually cap, so it's just going to be them clearing the tanks with only 11 seconds now. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it. Here comes the damage. Zone Delta, 407, getting dropped to just 1 health in that IS-3. He takes a tank down, but that's it. The time has run out, and Rival picking up the first victory here on their first match of the night against eLevate. Now, looking at that 5100's position, Amarlee there coming through, do you think that is what maybe led to, you know, that loss there for the side of eLevate?
No.
Okay, other things.
Very dedicated to the cap, which is very, very consistently and easily reset by HE. I mean, there's a dozen different ways of discussing changes that happen throughout that match, because it's a very long series of either mistakes or decisions that can all be critiqued, right? So perhaps if you're being reset by HE, just use 1 IS-3 to cover the other one. You know, you're not taking that much damage from the HE, and now you're covered and accumulating enough points to make him come out. There at the end, trying to ride out the cap, probably not, in my opinion, not necessarily the best way to do it. There is a chance that Arclit was actually trying to cover for Zone Delta, and Zone Delta drove out too much and got reset. But in general, I mean, as we saw, there's a very solid chance they could have just fought that out. And with about 30 seconds
right at the
left
end.
and 17 on cap, I don't know. I think the DPM is there. I think the shots are there. They probably could have won that just by that alone. Overall, Rival maintaining an incredible amount of discipline with those HE resets.
Yeah.
And eLevate just little mistakes adding up to cause that loss. But I feel like eLevate should have had that one.
Okay. Now looking, kind of what eLevate was doing, they're putting so much dedication on the cap. When a team's deciding to do that, is there a point that it gets to where like, all right, well, we're doing it, we got to stick to it, or is there like a threshold where if we get off cap now, it's not worth it? Is there a tricky situation that teams go through when they're in that position?
Yeah. I mean, there's always the chance that the enemy team bounces or misses something, and then that staying on cap is worth it,
Sure.
right? And then there's the chance that they don't, and then maybe you could have beaten them in the head-to-head.
Okay.
So it's just a weird, difficult decision to make pretty much every time.
All right. Well, congratulations, Rival, picking up that first victory. We are now into our second battle. We have the same sides going on to Lakeville, so let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
eLevate with a 5100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. Team Rival again with 3 IS-3s, an Object 416, 2 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. What'll be extremely interesting to me this time is whether eLevate sends Dark God Zim to do that same spot or not.
Okay. So if they do, is that just kind of a head game that they're trying to play? Like, oh, there's no way he's going to think we're going to go here twice, and they might be able to get some great spots because eLevate will work around that?
I think it's just more about the control that it affords you if you get the spot. Like I said last time, with the heaviness of Rival, if you're able to get this spot efficiently and get your binoculars deployed,
here he goes.
You know everything you need to know. But a very nice path by Dark God Zim. Unfortunately running into a rock, but he just narrowly avoided certain death.
Wow. Yeah, again, another shot going out there for Urtai and the Django, who were set up to try to take him down. No shots connecting there. Beautiful driving for Dark God Zim, but now some damage already going out there. HK taking some for the side of Rival again. Arkley in that ice for the side of eLevate. A lot of members for Rival bunched up here. We've got 5 of them all in this kind of corner here. No one really paying attention, paying any mind to the western cap, but it looks like eLevate isn't either, so that is all good for Rival. HK moving, trying to get out of that position. He was taking some fire from G-Forcer across the lake. And now looking at these kind of opening positions from both our teams, David, what do you think we can expect to see in the next couple of minutes?
Well, something extremely interesting from eLevate is developing. I'll touch on that in just a second. What do I think we can see? This is pretty much what I thought we would see right here from Rival. They had an initial opener different from last time. Didn't get any shots crossing. HK is relatively okay, using a different set of bushes and rock from last time, so he can't just be blind fired as easily, although he is lit by G-Forcer, so perhaps his days are numbered. But Rival basically just throwing a curveball off the beginning, and in the event that eLevate wanted to rush them through the city, they'd be ready for it, looking for that opening, and they missed it. A lot of it was lined up to try and get Dark God Zim when he went there. They missed it, and now the strategic options are opening back up for eLevate, and they can go pretty much wherever they want.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I was really, really excited because I thought we were going to see them do a delayed city push. And if you do that with the perfect amount of delay, you can catch an enemy team
in transit.
But that time has passed, so now eLevate is taking a debatably better path. It's not completely better under all circumstances, but it is the more rational, the more logical path at this point.
Oh,
HK
finally going down
finally biting the dust. I mean, that was just only a matter of time at that point.
Gotcha. He's doing a good job dodging some of his bullets.
Yep. So now eLevate's going to go down the 1-2. Probably just brush up on a few of the mistakes they had last time, and just do what they did, but do it better.
Okay. Let's see how they can. Maybe we'll see a difference of the the stress that they applied to that cap, or when they just kind of abandon that and go for the fight. As David, you were kind of pointing out that it looked like they could have had that if they did just decide to fight earlier. Yes.
One thing I did notice as well is Amarly had something like 17 shots fired, which is a huge number for 5100. And I think he connected like 12 of them and only penetrated 5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not really going to jump on that and make a ruling about it right now, as I would a lot of the time, right? Because he's firing from distances into city blocks.
Okay.
And I don't know what kind of shots he had. It could have very well just been a situation where maybe they'll hit, and maybe they'll help, and maybe they won't, but there's no real harm in him trying.
Sure. Oh, here we go, though. A nice chunk of damage there coming both from the Django and Urtai onto eLevate as he popped over the hill, coming down the valley. Last time it was just the Django there. Rival doing a nice job putting 2 members looking out for that opening for eLevate. Now, Let's see how eLevate keeps pushing on the way through. If they're going to go for that cap pressure as last time, or they're going to decide just to kind of fight it. Urtai and the Django on the run back to Fnatic in his Object 416. Looks like he's going to go take the same position as last time.
Is an interesting plan. Pulling all your light tanks and your medium tank fairly out of the cap circle here. My guess is World War II Fnatic. We can actually check. I need to guess here. World War II Fnatic. Nope, he's been spotted. I was going to say perhaps he has binoculars or something. I mean, his view range is enough to see the cap. So he's getting lit up from mid. And that gambit is now turning into a major problem, as World War II Fnatic was the only thing that could sufficiently spot cap reliably. These IS-3s can kind of do it. Check really quickly to see if they have any. Nobody has optics or anything, so that's kind of a sketchy spotting circumstance. Perhaps they're trying to get a little bit of a flank coming out of the Django and Airtie here.
Oh,
they will be able to fire on the tanks in the middle, but they're adding a lot of influence very quickly, and we're down to 10 seconds left on cap, and they have to go for that spot.
That's right, 9 more seconds. The Django finds Darkos in, but G-Forcer taking down Reven, now pushing on the way through. They do get a little bit of a reset, but it drops right back down to 10 more seconds. Again, Hall trying to make that cross in the IS-3, just getting lit up from the center road. They're now down to 6 seconds. eLevate doing a good job dodging. 3 more seconds. They need to find a shot. They need to find it quickly, or eLevate is going to take this attack onto Lakeville. Down to 0. Hall not being able to make it in time. No more shots going out, and that'll do it. eLevate picking up a victory, now tying it up 1-1 here onto Lakeville in our first match. Let's talk about that kind of light tank pullback. When we watched them, I followed them on the way through. They were going through the city. They decided to make their way and were they going for a flank? Were they going to try to get there quicker?
I think they were going to either clear out the 4 line. And there are also a couple different positions back there we haven't really covered before, back in the southeast corner. We can get some elevation and fire roughly flatly across cap.
Oh, wow.
Typically we see one of the IS-3s do it, something like that. But the 54 lightweights shoot fairly quickly, so they might not be a bad choice there. Okay. There's some penetration loss, whatever. So I guess it was some sort of ill-fated flank, and they were heavily banking on that 416 to continue spotting for them.
Oh, man.
Is what it looked like to me. And he either got spotted accidentally, or they just didn't understand, like messed his actual his position. There's part of his tank that got spotted. Right. It shouldn't have been, poking out behind a bush, something. Because that 416 looked like it was the linchpin to everything. And eLevate either blind fired it or he just got spotted. And then everything unraveled right then and there. You have no eyes on cap anymore and cap pressure. And just
took a lot of damage there. But another thing kind of pointing out there, just talking about that camo, how picky are those bushes? I mean, if you even have the slightest bit of your tank sticking out, is it going to pick it up? Or is there kind of a grace for the camouflage system?
Oh, there is no grace. Every bush, there's a handful of different models for how the bushes are aligned in the game. Their visual model and their actual camo model sometimes aren't exactly the same. So it's a complicated topic.
Sure. You can know it.
And the only way to do it for real is to test it.
Right.
Just test it. If you're really going to rely on it, if you're really going to bank on something that strong, you better know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can get somebody doing laps around him and he's not going to get spotted, because otherwise that happens.
It seemed like the 416 just wasn't the tank for that bush. But ladies and gentlemen, we're now into our next battle. We've switched sides. eLevate versus Rival, tied up 1-1. Let's go right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
For eLevate, we have 2 IS-3s, changing up with a T-32 and RU-251, 2 T-54 lightweights, and an AMX-12T. It is worth noting they're on defense. So I think I know where that T-32 is going to go. Southeast corner. Get back to that in a second. Rival, 5100, 2 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. So we'll see if Rival comes out aggressively off this one. That could be their best bet, as we've discussed before. Once eLevate gets their spread defense set up, it's usually going to be so well thought out, so well rehearsed.
Right.
It's not something you're going to be easily able to break. They're passing on that opportunity. Again, if eLevate plays the best of their ability, they have very few weak points, and that's what their whole style is about. Just having very few holes in the armor. Very few set points overall. Airtie getting shot a number of times.
But World War II Fnatic was the one who shot him. He went right in front of him as the shot went out. A little bit of friendly fire going out there.
Brutal.
Uh-oh. Press F. Pay respects.
All right. Not dead yet. Okay, so eLevate over here. Arclet and his T-32 down in the southeast corner. This is a classic. It's been popping up on EU and RU, And it's a very, very, very difficult spot. Right now, he's destroying a couple of objects in his sight line. That's what it looks like to me.
Okay.
That's really all he needs to do. So it's just walls and stuff like that, things that could either disrupt his shell or take off penetration, whatever. So he's just clearing out some rubble. He can back up here where he's got hull down for days. Once he gets behind this house here, it's even more of a pain to get him because the crossfire that comes out from where MRLE and Zone Delta are is pretty strong. I mean, this whole path you're getting lit up by IS-3. So it's one of these positions that you have to deal with, but you can't deal with all at the same time.
Okay.
Fortunately for Rival, they might not have to mess with it at all, except for those 2 heavies that are still in the A line. But other than that, they're bringing most of the pain right down to 1-2. That's one way to bypass the T-32, I guess.
Well, here we go, though.
Oh, hold up. Static's position. Go ahead, though.
This is interesting. Let's take a look at this. Let's see how much flank damage you can get on these tanks going through. It looks like they might go right underneath the hill there. But he has.
Oh, wow.
He is now just spotted. They're turning their turrets to look for him. I'm not sure he's going to be in the best position here. Let's see how long he can survive. The question is, can eLevate come back to try to defend against this? The Django and Urtai looks like they're going to be the ones who are on static duty. World War II Fnatic taking a shot, but HK finding Dark on Zima T-37, taking down that AMX-12T. And Swipple up on a hill too as well, taking some shots into Urtai. Looks like this might be a plan that eLevate's got going, but Swipple taking a lot of damage to that T-54. He needs to get out of there. Over 1,000 now, going through. One more shot, maybe 2, and he will go down. Luckily, just repositioning himself. They've had another rock to find a Static, popping out, taking a shot. Both those shots missed for both of those players. Swipple now looks like he's safe, but for now, Urtai repositioning himself. Urtai taking the shot on the run, picking Swipple up, and a tank now falling. Another one for eLevate. It is 75. Hall starting to apply temperature. G-Forcer finding HK off to the screen, but now he's in a battle with Urtai. 2 T-4 lightweights against each other. World War II Fanatics coming to back it up. Let's use it come out on top. Urtai taking another chunk of damage there, but G-Force knows he's in trouble. He needs to get out of there. 2 shots going through, 492 points of damage. He's on the run. Both the shots are up already. The shot going out. Another one, 449. He is down to 57 health. One more shot, he'll go down. It should be Urtai to pick that one up. Another kill going out for that 54. And now eLevate looks like they're slowly falling here. Down to 4,600 points of HP for the team total. 4 tanks remain against the 6 of Rival here. Hall has backed off the cap as he is extremely low there in his T-54. World War II Fnatic taking some shots. I believe that was Zone Delta. Arclet and MRLE now pushing forward. MRLE taking a good chunk of damage as well. And Static, David, still back in that position. Are you seeing any sort of benefit from where he's at right now?
Absolutely. Right now, Rival cannot cap. eLevate is they're throwing their own plan here. The way they were lined up, the positions they had, they didn't have to do a thing besides wait. And MRLE going down the World War II Fnatic, this just keeps getting worse and worse for eLevate.
That's right here, another tank dropping. Now just 3 remain on defense. 2,100 HP. Zone Delta taking another chunk, and then IS-3. World War II Fnatic turning around. Shots going back. Arclet. Another shot being connected there. Static still maintaining his position. Obviously, he really can't go anywhere. So the question is, how annoying can he be? How long can he draw this game out? 2 minutes and 25 seconds still remain in the entire battle. Zone Delta in his little position there. Anubis removing him from that position. The IS-3 taking out the IS-3, and now we've got, looks like the rest of the Rival just going to push, clean up Arclet, then go back for Static. They decided they had enough of this game. They're going to take it into their own hands. And let's see how this goes. Just the T-32 left. Static does find Hull as the rest of the team leaves, but now Arclet, a shot going in there. One more from World War II Fnatic, and that'll do it. And the Django had picked up Static. 2 tanks going down back-to-back. Rival with another victory here onto eLevate. I mean, this is they're doing a good job, kind of staying toe-to-toe with this, with their old friends going in this. But Static's position, why didn't it work? And how was it supposed to work?
It didn't work largely because a lot of the other players were just getting out tanked. Either their positions were slightly just not exactly what they needed to be. I'm not 100% sure about Swipples. I didn't get a very good look at it. He definitely took a lot of damage. Might have needed to be someplace else. Before I continue with that, Rival coming down the middle with IS-3s is actually a very smart move.
Really?
IS-3s down the middle, I mean, it's weird. They can either be nigh invincible or they can get penetrated by almost everything.
Be done.
The side of an IS-3 is a weird thing. It's magic sometimes and utter paper other times.
Just black voodoo magic.
In that instance, it certainly worked out for them because they took very little damage coming through. Either way, so what you were saying, what you were asking, I should say, Static is there to defend and reset a very small part of the cap.
Okay.
That very northern pocket, where a lot of times we see tanks have to swing very far south to reset. When eLevate did their attempt at a cap fast in game 1, 2 IS3s were there.
That position.
That little slice of cap.
Okay.
It's very hard to reset from most angles.
Huh.
But from right there,
perfect.
Static has a perfect view from the rear of both of the tanks.
Okay.
You can reset him all day. He's a problem. He's a constant nuisance, something you have to think about. And it shuts down a lot of movement. A lot of teams freeze in that situation. They don't know what to do because it's all about what the guy could do.
Right.
Not,
you kind of get your own head.
Unless you catch him out. And he had kind of a bad battle between a 5100 where he didn't really need to be trying to go head-to-head with a 5100.
Okay.
And he lost about half his health doing it. Didn't look
Sure.
like he got much damage in. Overall, most of eLevate just looking like they didn't play their tanks as well as Rival did. And Rival just not being phased by what appeared to be a very spread-controlled strategy, just kind of pushing through it and getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, congratulations are coming out. That's why I was so fascinated to see this team, to see if, technically Rival the lower ranking team against eLevate, but they are showing that they can go toe-to-toe with these guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into our next battle here. Rival versus eLevate. Rival up now 2-1. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
eLevate with 2 IS3s, an Object 416, an AMX 1390, 2 T54 lightweights, and a KV2.
Okay.
Rival with a 5100, 2 IS3s, 3 T54 lightweights, and a T37. So, obviously a lot more of a standard lineup on Rival's side.
Right.
They're bringing out a whole bag of tricks here. I have no idea what they're going to do with this off the top of my head. The KV2 is a bit perplexing.
Okay.
He can't really get west very easily, so I'm just going to assume he's going to sit somewhere in the east and just blast the very first thing he sees. But if they somehow push that guy all the way over to the left, I don't even know how that'd be possible. He should die in transit, especially with HK going where he's going.
All right, we'll see if that does work out for eLevate. And we did see maybe Lamp bringing also an interesting lineup last week, and it didn't work out for him, but it did lead to some crazy mind games possibly. I mean, maybe that's what they're going for. A lot of members for eLevate now going over to that western cap. Only Hall on the side of Team Rival pushing down right now, and that light tank getting out ahead of the rest of his team. Shots going out for Arc, but it looks like he might just be clearing some of that debris in the way. G-Forcer as well. HK setup. I don't know if anyone was spotted there. Some shots going out from Rival. Nothing connecting yet over on the side of the lake. HK up here in the T-37. Nice little position he's got by the rock, making sure they're just going to keep the rest of the lake open, looking for maybe a center road control. And the rest of Rival, it looks like they are all actually going for this western cap. And even with this many, tanks pushing through down there, and the setup we're seeing from eLevate, does this push, if Rival does continue to push this, favor them, or does it favor eLevate?
Well, it certainly doesn't favor eLevate as well as it did last time.
Okay.
But in general, I would say a team pushing onto the western cap in this angle favors eLevate, favors the team defending. They're going to get a number of shots on those tanks as they come down the 1-2. If they make those shots count, then it should be a pretty easy wrap up after that. If they miss them, considering they're using a 1390, it could turn into a bigger problem. 1390 has a good chance here of clipping, so dumping his entire magazine, reloading and running away and coming back. In some other position, they would be a problem, confrontational. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get these early shots off, reload, and then go right up the 4 line, because if he can get a head-to-head with airtie, or what you would expect to be a 54 right, he can win it.
Oh, here we go, though. Here's the push for Rival. Let's see how well it works out for them, or if eLevate's going to have the advantage. Some shots now going out for eLevate. Not a lot actually connecting. Looks like the 2 IS3s and the T54 making it down relatively unscathed. David, was that enough damage for eLevate, or did Rival get out pretty clean there?
They certainly got out clean compared to what could have happened to them.
Okay.
We're talking maybe 4 shots total worth of damage I saw, maybe 5. And now we're seeing Swipple and Zone Delta group up and get ready to push middle. That should be enough to clear it and take it away from airtie, but this will put enough time for Rival to dump on the cap, knowing that 2 tier 8s are tied up. HK is going to be spotting him the whole time, and this is starting to tilt back in Rival's favor.
And here they go again. HK in the T-37 doing a nice little dance, making sure he is still spotting but staying alive. Lots of shots going out there. Dark on Zim in that KV2, taking a good chunk of damage as well as Static in that Object 416. The cap fast is going down. Looks like 3 members for Rival are on it, dropping it down to 15 seconds. Let's see how eLevate responds. Static taking another shot, nothing connecting yet. Amerlee and Arclet just creeping over the hill, getting as close as they can, but Arclet taking a shot going through. He needs to push forward though. 7 seconds now, another shot missing. Amerlee not quite connecting. There's finally, looks like they got a reset going down, dropping it though back to 11 seconds. They being eLevate, still need to make sure to put a lot of pressure here. More shots going through, a nice little bit of defense you're seeing on your screen there. Shots falling just over the top, but there it is, more connecting on the very peak of that 5100, and eLevate still managing to hit it up on top. Swipple versus Urtai fighting out 2 54 lightweights. Let's see if that's going to help out if Swipple takes that. That might be an amazing flank that they can pull. The Django now told Nathan to back off. The cap, Urtai actually fighting Swipple. The Django picking up G-Forcer. 2 tanks going down for eLevate, and the cap pressure is still being applied. Arclet is extremely low now. Just like one more shot, and that ice 3 he'll go down static. Fighting Anubis, the first tank of this battle now going down for the side of Rival. Rival still in a very good position as Arclet goes down. Amerlee, the only one pushing up forward, trying to find some shots. Static sitting in the back, doing best he can. HK being a nuisance there with Dark God Zim. Let's see how he's pushing over. 22 seconds now left. Amerlee has to find the reset. He's just pushing through. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Static finally taking down HK in the city, pushing it forward, trying to find resets on the member that he knows. Needs 4 more seconds now. He needs to find a shot where he takes it, gets it on the revamp. There's a huge chunk going down. That might have been exactly what eLevate was looking for, but he sacrifices his life for it. Hall picking up that one, and IS3 now dropping again, and just 3 tanks remain for eLevate. An Object 416, a 1390 who has like 5 shots left in his clip, and Dark God Zim in that KV2. 3 tanks on the cap pressure. Zone Delta pushing out very aggressively, not actually going for the cap reset, but just doing a run here. Looks like he has to pop up now quickly as it's down to 11 seconds. Let's see if he can find it. Pushing forward, lining up a shot. World 2 Fnatic revamp, and the Django finding Zone Delta. Beautiful focus there going on there. 237 points of damage. He has to get off 1 more second on the clock. The shot going through from Dark God. Nothing connecting. World 2 Fnatic picks up Zone Delta, and the cap has run out. Rival up now 3-1 against eLevate. Doing a fantastic job here on our first match of the night. A lower tier team going into a higher tier team and really pulling it out.
Are they perhaps lower tier? I mean, on the standings, sure. We've talked about this before, though. The only real problem Rival ever had was their penetration rate was all terrible. It was like below 50% out of their overall shots.
Yeah.
And if they clean that up, the amount of the positions they were in, the dynamics they had, they were all good. They were all sound. They just had to hit their shots and penetrate.
And they're doing it.
And they're doing it. However, eLevate is making some serious mistakes here. Timeout from eLevate.
Good call, I say.
That's necessary. That is necessary. There's got to be some serious tilt going on over there. I can feel it radiating through my computer right now. That would be a frustrating match for me to play if I were in their shoes as a number of different times. They had it completely in the palm of their hand and then just couldn't close it.
Okay.
Amerlee driving directly on a cap to get that reset was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Not only did he live way longer than he ever should have, but he got the reset on the perfect guy.
Well,
under like moving targets
reason,
and all this
right?
stuff. And it's just like, what? How did he survive any of that?
And now, kind of going down before we get into stats, might be something to check
Arclet
out.
did it too, but yeah.
So going through there, when you know, like he's like, hey, we need to get the reset on this guy. I'm going to sacrifice my life for it. I mean, that's what you need to do though in that position.
Yes, it's very good management, or you know who's been reset and who hasn't, and who you have to go for. I don't think even Amerlee himself expected to.
He's like, I'm doing it. Oh, I can do it.
I was impressed that he held the shot as long as he did. Most people in that situation, you just drive on the cap and you let it fly because you're going to die in seconds anyways.
Okay.
So I mean, you just shoot it. And
he was dedicated.
There was I knew he knew of at least 2 of the resets overall they had fired before he moved in, and he kind of had a good idea.
Okay.
But there was at least one more guy kind of in the mix there. It's 54 lightweight, and the IS-3 hadn't quite fired yet. It's a very good chance that Amerlee could have gotten shot before he let it go. And I'm 50-50 on whether it was a good idea to hold it and make sure he got the reset, or just let it fly. Because well, I guess he's just got to hold it and let it and shoot it, because if he lets it fly and it misses, I mean, I don't know.
Right, if you let it fly on
it's all bad
target.
It's all bad options.
Yeah, just not a place you want to be in for eLevate. Is there anything in stats that's worthy or jumps out at you?
Static and Swipple doing the most, 2,000 each roughly. Static going up to 2,300.
Okay.
With 93 base defense points.
Wow.
Holy, that's a lot.
Wow.
For Rival, it's very spread. Most people being over 1,000. Only Anubis and Revit, that's roughly 700, but where they had to play what they were given, it was a lot rougher for them to push through than it was last time.
Okay.
Most of the time, they were also sitting on cap, just accumulating points, if I remember correctly. Well, yeah, so just
Interesting.
It's
interesting.
almost speechless over that match. I mean, Rival playing a much better game than they have, and eLevate not even looking like eLevate right now. I think that's what's confusing me here right now. Is it just doesn't look like they've practiced any of this. I know they have, but just a lot of little mistakes adding up. Like it's like there's just holes in the overall game plan that they have that they didn't see. There really aren't any. It's a weird transpiration of events.
I wonder if if we're looking at Static in that position that he had down the Western cap at one time, where the rest of the team just didn't quite maybe weren't in the right positions there. Do you think that might be what's leading to this sort of discoordination? If you have a plan, like, hey, this works, and we practice it and it works amazingly, and then one time you practice it, it doesn't work. You're like, oh, dang it! Like let's scratch that. Could that cause some chaos that is unnecessary? Or?
Yeah, especially if they were intending to run that on every defense. Like,
it
works. We're just gonna keep
and it
doing
doesn't work.
Well, then when you call yourself out of it, it gets weird, man.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now into our next battle. Switching maps, going on to steps. It looks like eLevate versus Rival. Rival up 3-1. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
eLevate on defense with 2 T-32s, an RU-251, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a 59-16. Team Rival says, how about 2 RU-251s? Sounds good. 4 T-54 lightweights? Why not? An M44? I'm for it.
They're going for it. Now we see that artillery coming back out on the offensive side. David, just kind of explain to me what you think we'll be seeing from that M44.
The M44 is there exclusively to beat up on those T-32s. I like the direction they're going, but I'm not sure they can head-to-head with the 32s in this direction. Probably needed to bring at least an IS-3 and a T-32 in order to do this sufficiently. But if Rival can get into the east securely, deposit that M44 in a safe place, not a whole lot of room for those T-32s to run without getting absolutely lit up by it every time it reloads.
All right, there we go. The first shot sounding like coming out of the artillery. Doesn't look like anything connected just yet. But now it looks like Rival very prominently going for this eastern cap.
Blind fire.
At least they're going through here. And David, these kind of blind fires, like you were saying, that we're seeing out there coming through. Is there a risk of running blind fire in a situation like Rival's in right now, or is this pretty much safe to do?
There's no real risk from it, aside from the fact you kind of give away your position. But it's already fairly known where they are.
Okay.
I think eLevate is just somewhat settling here because they don't even have any real need to move yet. And if they get dragged out and this turns out to be a kind of a guise by Rival to get them to go in a different direction, getting those 32s back into the B7 spot can be very difficult. So they'll be one of the last tanks to move if eLevate is doing this the way I expect them to. And they'll use the rest of those light tanks. I'm very surprised they haven't used either of the sort of hold-back defensive points that we've seen people use the east side here with a tank either at C0 or like A9, A0 with a boost. Or the particular spot. Looks like Zone Delta's going for it now. Okay. No? Wait. Is he?
Find out.
So confusing, Zone Delta. He just drove right past it. Maybe they were worried about him getting shot.
In a better position.
I think he might have been lit, and he's getting rid of the spot in an unpredictable way. I don't know, man. I really expect him to get one of those positions by now, because it's money in the bank. Oh, hold up. Of course not. My mistake. If they put anybody there, the M44 will absolutely
light them up. Sure.
Because it's not enough cover from artillery. I should have seen that, and it's a good call by eLevate, not just feeding one of their tier 8s away, because once Rival spotted him there, they basically just back off into this plethora of hills and just wait and keep him lit and let the M44 do damage to him. And if he leaves there, he gets shot the whole way away.
There's another shot from the artillery coming out. Doesn't look like anything connects. Actually, no damage coming on either side of these teams. eLevate 8,600, Rival 7,600, so 1,000 going on the favor of defense. Usually, typically, something we see, though, coming out from the defensive side, a little more HP, a little more hit points there, just to survive longer, because that is their goal. Ladies and gentlemen, the defense just needs to stay alive for the full duration of the battle and have at least one remaining tank up to take the match, or take the battle, or defend successfully their caps. So more HP means more survivability, hopefully, here. We've got a little bit of push coming. Anubis and HK pushing against Dark God and Zone Delta. Over in the north, let's see how this kind of envelops as Anubis and HK taking a shot at Zone Delta, missing his. Zone Delta maybe the one to take a little bit of damage in that RU-251. And now with this going on here, Anubis, nice focus fire coming out from both Zone Delta and Dark God. The tanks, the two T-54s are looking at Zone Delta now. HK taking a little bit more damage. Dark God's in. That 59-16 has a very quick reload. Not a lot of damage, but man, can it pump out those shots. And here we go. the rest of eLevate pushing on the way through Static and Azrael, making sure that Anubis and AJ couldn't do any more damage. GeForce now exchanging some shots there with Anubis, nothing connecting from either side of the tanks. And eLevate being now repositioned. Does this, David, open up Rival to the Eastern Cap?
This is pure chaos, honestly.
Oh.
eLevate can get shot inside of the T-32 turret, so they got to work about 2 ways at once, but there's isolations going on all those T-54s, and they're trying to fight it out, light tank on light tank in the north.
Here we go, let's see what happens. Rule of 2 Fnatic is lower than most of Anubis, below half health. The pressure now is going on. Zone Delta focusing on Anubis. Some shots going through Static, picking that one up. Anubis dropping the first tank, falling through the rest, and now eLevate finding the match they can. GeForcer finding Rule of 2 Fnatic. HK is now surrounded. He's going to be the next one to fall, and the cap pressure is not on as there is another fight going down over by the Eastern Cap. Hall gonna find Amarilli here. Arclet now a 2v1 situation, but eLevate is on the return. They're coming to back up this T-32. He is set on fire. The damage continuing to spark up their Valkyrie. Gonna pick up Arclet going down, but it is a 5-on-3 now in favor of eLevate. The lightweights are back and they're ready to fight. Valkyrie gonna be the first one to take damage here on that RU-251. Beautiful focus fire going out there. Looks like they might get a ram damage there. Azrael picking that one up and now going on the way for Hall. Maybe he's gonna get a double ram. He's going straight for it. No, he's just gonna pick it up with a shot. The Django in that M44 now all alone, all by himself. 1 minute and 50 seconds. And eLevate should be able to pick, well, they will be able to pick up this victory now against Rival.
eLevate with a number of great decisions in that fight, and Rival with about 2 really bad ones.
Okay.
Pretty much what it comes down to.
That's what it was.
Forcing a fight in a situation where you have an artillery is it's kind of counterintuitive.
Oh.
Pretty much the whole point you bring him is to break the camp. You don't want to give him a tank-in-hand fight, which essentially boils down to a 7-on-6. Or even worse, when you get
wow.
The brass tacks of it. GD to eLevate, 3-2, starting to close that gap that was created on Lakeville.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's point out, if you would, for me, the 2 main mistakes. You said one of them was bringing artillery and then trying to pick a fight, because obviously the artillery is there to whittle down defense. Was the second one that push they made from the north? Why did they send those 2 tanks up there?
Across the flat area was mind-boggling, and the number of light tanks that were committed after I believe just 2 of theirs, was too much to just try and send a direct reinforcement to. Probably could have overwhelmed the 2 T-32s much more easily, gotten them cleaned up, then had position in the east to fight away the west.
Okay.
As with a normal, when it breaks down into these complicated situations.
Just could go a lot of different places.
There's a lot of ifs, and there's a lot of things that could happen.
Sure.
What I would have done personally is go after the T-32s and just try and clean them up quickly and use them to lock out of the east and hold the eastern cap down. But realistically, you need to slow down, pump the brakes on everything. Not put those tanks up the middle and give them the opportunity. Dark God Zim doing a great job spotting them as they came up, right up the middle. Fell into a trap. eLevate just diving on the isolation they had. And strangely, I think it was 3 light tanks on 2 T-32s. And T-32s almost won. I mean, it was like a 1-to-1 trade way before the reinforcement light tanks from eLevate came around.
Right. Well, and so that's what I'm saying. I was focusing really on that northern fight that was happening with those light tanks. Did you see what was happening over on the east with, I was assuming,
that's the one I was watching.
Okay.
It was 2 RU-251s and I think a T-54 lightweight going after T-32s. And the T-32s killed one of the 54s. We're halfway done killing one of the RU-251s when one of the T-32s went down.
Wow.
And
so
ultimately,
so tanking did a great job.
Ultimately, the light tanks would have beaten the heavy tanks, probably. But I wouldn't want to send RU-251s against T-32s. The heat shells disappear into those tracks all day. It's
all right. Well, let's see if Rival now can take another victory, because if they pick this one up, they just need to defend twice on their next one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're into the next battle: eLevate versus Rival. Same side. Let's go right into it. Take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
Well, eLevate with 2 T-32s, an RU-251, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a 59-16. Rival again. 2 RU-251s, 4 T-54 lightweights, dropping the M44, going back to a T-37.
Yeah. Now, is that something that you would expect to see when you were playing and you would run a plan and it didn't quite work out? Do you generally just kind of throw that one off and just kind of like, all right, well let's not do that again? Or is there something to, all right, guys, we messed that plan up, let's do the same one and just do it better? Like, why wouldn't you do that? Why would you just switch it up immediately?
You do both, depending on the situation. In this instance, I really think they had to keep bringing the artillery. I think the lack of an artillery will significantly change how eLevate responds to what they see.
Okay.
And I think last match they may have viewed the artillery as a problem, as a vulnerability, because it didn't really get to join in the fight. So, well, logically it kind of makes sense in the short-term thought pattern where it's like, well, drop the M44, bring a T-37, and maybe we would have won that last fight.
Right.
But you have to backpedal even further and realize that you wouldn't have even had that fight if it weren't for the M44
Right.
existing.
Right.
Because eLevate wouldn't have come out of their hole. There's no reason for them to.
Sure.
So now, you're going to have to do either some sort of new strat where they flex north and south quicker than they have in the past, or perhaps just another kind of a north cap fast kind of thing. Or maybe barreling over the A6 with a lot of tanks and trying to win that way. But either way, they're in a much tougher position without that M44, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, I definitely would say so as well, because we've seen kind of on steps that we're talking about, it's such a defensive-heavy map. Having the ability to just, punish the team, break that defense slowly but surely, it seems it's been by far the most successful that I've seen coming out strategy-wise for offense here. So let's see if Rival maybe can use this in a different way that we've seen, or if eLevate might just be able to respond to how everyone else has been responding and taking another victory. But another thing I do want to point out, Rival, again, they're about to be, they're doing, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, their two hardest battles on this map first, right? The offensive side. So when they switch, right, they do just need to hold it for 2 more times, and they'll pick up the victory. That'll get them to 5.
That is true, if they can hold against eLevate on offense. And eLevate is one of the teams that's been bringing artillery and doing fairly well with it, breaking the offensive steps camp, and or defensive steps camp. And I've actually been hoping to see them attempt another break again, but we've only got 20 seconds left here on cap, going hard for this cap fast. See if eLevate can stop it.
That's right, we've seen the cap fast work before. Let's see if Rival can pull this one out. 15 seconds now on the cap. HK taking the first bit of damage, getting a little reset there. He now has to reposition so he doesn't get shot again from the same place. Anubis and World War II Fnatic are spotted, so the team members that are on cap are not spotted themselves. A track going and a bounce off the Django. Now bring it right back up to 18 more seconds. Over the side, World War II Fnatic taking another shot, and this just doesn't look like it's working for Rival, as they're taking more damage than eLevate is. Rival not doing a good job for punishing any of the tanks, taking the shots on them. I guess the hope for Rival is they just keep bouncing around, but it's not going well. More focus fire going into that T-54. Now it looks like they're trying to stack up here. Hall blocking the path of the Django, now moving around, trying to maybe just kind of back up there, build some cap points to the further tank. HK going to be used as a shield here. Unfortunately, he had a lot of points on him, so that shot didn't reset it. Going back up again to 67 seconds static. Does pick up HK. Now, let's see if the shield will work for him. 28 seconds with 2 tanks on the cap. eLevate now already have a tank down. Hall taking another shot. David, if you were Hall and you're trying to use this whole shield method, would you put Hall in a different position, or is this exactly what they need to be doing right now?
Well, I honestly just wouldn't try it.
Okay, all right.
Not with those
Guys,
tanks.
get out. Get out, Django.
Not on this map.
Django heard you. Django heard you, and he is on the run.
As you've seen a number of times, you can get all the way down to like the E7-8 area, and there's just angles for days.
Yeah.
Right now you can see Static and G-Force are firing. And it's such a huge, wide array of angles that you have to worry about. I just don't like it, let alone trying to mask with light tanks. I mean, if you put a 5100 on there, I guess, but maybe a T-32 and a 5916 behind it would work. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know. Still don't like it.
Nope. Well, it looks like Rival's not going to like it either, as they are now down over 2,000 points of HP. They are down 2 tanks. Both the tanks that were on cap are now gone. Shots now going to Valkyrie up here in the RU-251, trying to do as much as you can, sniping Amar Lee. And they have a little bit of a battle here. Amar Lee is pretty low. Static picking up World War II Fnatic, and now the battle looks like it has begun. They're just rushing forward. Rival knows that the only way they're going to have any sort of a chance is a one-on-one battle, and their G-Force are going down. Anubis picking that one up. Let's see if Rival can claw the way out of this extreme deficit. Doesn't look like it. Is Zone Delta and Static get back-to-back kills. 2 more members of Rival going down. Urtai now being surrounded here. Shot going out. Let's see who's going to pick it up. Zone Delta with the ram from behind. Urtai, his T-54 dropping, and now is just Valkyrie holding the hill as well as he can. Dark on Zim coming over the railroad tracks. He's like, hey buddy, I'm here. I'm gonna come join you. High five. Nope. Azrael picking up that kill. Beautiful focus fire, and eLevate taking their second victory on defense. Now tying it up 3-3 against Rival here. We've I mean, have we ever seen that tactic work out for a team when they go for that northern cap, besides when they just throw, put the cap fast pressure on? Because normally it just seems as if defense can just pick that apart.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Remind me to come back to that because we need to go to stats for the
Let's do
first
it.
time tonight.
Stats, everybody. It's happening. S for stats. And timeout from Rival.
Okay. We're going to have to establish a new rule here. Anytime we do a 1 for this, S for that, F for whatever, we're doing a firm 3-second limitation to it, boys.
Oh,
3
wow.
seconds,
You've
maybe
got
5. We'll leave that to Badco, but we got to rein that in. All right, so here's what I'm here for. Valkyrie View Us 27-17 in RU251. Googly moogly. That is a lot of damage.
That's good.
Over here for Static. Not only did he do 2.2K, the man got 75 base defense points and decided to drive 2 kilometers for the fun of it.
Killing it.
Zone Delta following him up. And really fairly spread across the rest of the team. It's successful defense there. Dark God Zim, I mean, whatever. It's not necessarily his job to do damage in this instance. It's just his job to spot people and let his team get the resets. And I guess the Django and Fnatic kind of getting isolated. Or not really isolated, but shoved out of the fight. I don't know. When I see numbers that are less than 1,000 or whatnot, it just doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't necessarily mean, unless we remember it specifically,
like
them getting isolated.
Blown up.
It doesn't mean they didn't get in the fight or whatever. It just means that the strategy wasn't working enough in a way to get them in or had them left out. Something along those lines. But whatever. Ultimately, 2.7 from an RU251.
Good for you.
Huh.
So back to the question that I was supposed to remind you of. Have we ever seen, or when have we seen that cap on the northern work out for offense with no artillery, with no, it's kind of what Rival was trying?
I believe, so we've seen just last week, I think it was 07, piled through the A6 area and came out and cleared all the people who were defending in that region. We've also seen, aside from the cap fast you said, we've seen people go north and do, and it's kind of a 50-50 answer, but do a cap pressure on the north and flexing around the south. But other than that, I mean, other than just straight up shoving through the A6.
Just the A6.
There's only, the A cap. So A6, cap fast, and then I think there's maybe 1 or 2 times where the defensive team just absolutely threw it and gave the win. But other than that, no, that's really the only 2 ways we've seen it. Big part of why I constantly criticize that whole attempt.
Right. Oh, without bringing maybe artillery or a different kind of lineup there.
Yeah.
Or using it as bait or all the things that you can do there. But ladies and gentlemen, the timeout is done. We are now into our next battle. We've switched sides. Rival is on defense, eLevate on offense. If Rival can hold these 2, they'll take it. Let's see what happens and get right into it and take a look at what we've got. David?
Interesting matchup we have here.
That's right.
eLevate. RU251, 5 T54 lightweights, and an M44. Rival with a T32, an RU251, 3 T54 lightweights, and 2 WZ131s. Now those 2 tier 7s could be absolutely critical in shutting down what Arclit is there to do. They're both a significant enough threat where you don't really just want to send 1 tier 8 after them because they could lose.
Okay.
It's not likely,
but they could.
It could happen.
Sure.
So you have to delegate more. It's almost too much to handle. It depends on how eLevate spreads out, but if one of those WZ131s slips through the defense at all, they lose their M44 and they lose pretty much all their momentum. Then they're heading against a team with higher hit points and higher DPM in defensive position. So that's really it. Take out that M44 and it's game.
All right. So let's see if that's what Rival's main goal is going to be when we start getting into the battle. Static, staying back, making sure that no one can flank him there. We have a little bit of a boost going on here in a position. David, have you seen? No.
Yes, nope. I have seen it before, but not in the North American League.
Okay.
It's got some interesting angles with it, but overall, it's nothing super broken. I'd be interested to see what I probably can't use the M44. There's just too much of a ridge. It's a nice defensive point more than anything.
Gotcha. Well, that unfortunately did not work out for eLevate there. So let's see what their next plan is. Static still in the back there. Arclit, I think he's kind of setting up in that M44, trying to find a good position to start letting those shots fly onto the side of Rival. Hall Valkyrie, making sure there's actually a lot of tanks for Rival here down in this Eastern Valley. We might see a sort of flank going on here. Anubis the Django and HK pushing, like you said, those WZ-131s and a T-54 taking some blind shots over down the southern southern spawn point for eLevate. Now, if they start cleaning this out and they come around from the back, is this going to be, because it looks like Arclet is getting a position where he's more than safe with his team.
Yeah. Okay, he's definitely safe, and he's in a place wouldn't actually expect him to be. So he's safe in the sense that he cannot be immediately shot. There's no people there to do it.
Right.
But if World War II Fnatic moved a little bit more east and he was lit, that'd be an easy shot.
Okay.
But eLevate's got enough tanks in the right positions to make sure that doesn't really happen. If World War II Fnatic wanted to move over and get there, he'd be lit by Dark God Zim, punished by MR Lee. It's a reasonably safe place for Arclet to be. And it protects him a lot from those two WZ-131s. So really the guy who's at the most risk right now is probably Static.
Okay.
He's a little bit far down the 4-line road, that middle road. And two WZ-131s on him will clean him up pretty quickly. G-Forcer's the only guy who can effectively support him. See if we can get to his tank. So if you were to see right now, right down the middle, G-Forcer can support Static. Static can hold the middle. And if anybody wants to push after them, they have to deal with those two. Zone Delta's just a short distance away. Azrael is on cap, but if you have 3 tanks in the middle, he'll completely come off that and get into this ridge line where G-Forcer is and support the middle as well. So what would be absolutely best for eLevate right now is if Rival were attempt to push up the middle and try and get Static. It would basically be a 4-on-3.
Okay. So if you were Rival and you're not going to do that, maybe do you think Rival knows? Do they have enough information right now? Only Valkyrie and World II Fnatic Extra are spotted for Rival. No one for eLevate is spotted. So is that just kind of a risky play they just would have no information in going for? As Urtai pushing up that T-54, getting a little aggressive there because the cap pressure has been applied, but now eLevate backing off Static, taking some shots there from the center road. Let's see how this starts to develop. HK pushing on the way through, leaving the Django and Noobs on the other side of the road here. eLevate, looks like I don't know if that was a bait to draw Urtai in and start pushing Rival closer to them, or if that was just
This is the problem with not choosing any direction there at all. Now all 4 T-54 lightweights are taking the isolation they have, the overmatch on this T-32.
No.
The entire team is swinging. That's too many resources caught in the south for way too long. eLevate's going to pounce on it. This could be exactly what they need to convert this.
Here we go, going over the hill very quickly. World War II Fnatic might be the focus. They're going to actually drive right on by, getting down to the eastern valley there, bypassing World War II Fnatic, and they might be looking for an eastern battle. Static, and then doesn't turn the shots there. Now they're turning back to World War II in that T-32. Shots going from all over the place. Let's see if Rival can get back in time. More damage coming across, and here it is, blue versus red. Blue pushing up now. Rival coming through to try to take down eLevate. World War II Fnatic, just a couple more shots. He'll go down. One more. Amber Lee looking for this one, popping up over the top. He picks it up. Will he be punished for it? No. Gets down again without taking any bit of damage in. The first tank falling for Rival, but now Hall coming over extremely aggressively. Urtai popping in. Static is extremely low. The Django driving through, but he is getting focused for it. HK picking up Arclet, and there's the tank now going down. The M44 is out of the picture. Urtai with the ram damage. Dark God Zim gonna pick that one up though, and now the Django finding Static. Just 4 tanks remain for eLevate. Now 3. Rival doing a fantastic job with the focus fire here in this battle. Out tanking eLevate. G-Forcer though getting 2 kills, clawing their way back up. That is exactly what eLevate needed in this fight. Now HK is the focus. G-Forcer is almost loaded. If he gets a nice shot here, he'll take him down. There it is, the Django finding Azrael. Dark God Zim finding Anubis, and now just a Django is alive against 2 tanks. G-Forcer picking him up, an explosive battle, and eLevate coming out on top, increasing the victory 4-3 against Rival. That was an explosive battle, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that was fantastic. I loved every second of that fight.
Yeah.
eLevate perhaps overcommitting the direction they went to try and pick up that 32. It's technically the best one, but it's also a weird angle to penetrate the 32 from.
Okay.
I don't know if they knew they had the timing appropriately, but they could have come over and swamped him immediately. That would have been a very easy match.
Sure.
Considering they really needed to get a very good pick to start the whole thing off with the M44 guaranteed to die to a WZ-131 throughout that fight, turning back into an HP per DPM thing.
Right.
Let's go to stats.
Let's do it.
Got to give a shout out to G-Forcer here. Not only did I see some critical plays from him, but he shot 9 for 9 with his shots hit per pen.
Wow.
20-50 leading a team, and 4 kills. One of those was a ram, an absolutely critical ram.
Really?
That was
I saw it.
Critical. Dark God Zim also playing very clutch choosing the right person to push on at the right exact time. A lot of very good small tank skills coming out from eLevate in that fight.
Okay.
So him 17-16. Over here for Rival, just not getting as many shots in overall. T54, 5, perfect 5 coming out of Anubis, leading his team. World War II Fnatic fired 24 times. Many of those are blind fires, so that makes that completely makes sense. Rest of the team, it looks like, I mean, I swear they had better angles than they did, but there was a lot of shuffling that went on by eLevate to make some of those lower HP tanks harder targets to hit, making them sit on them for a lot longer period of time where they're waiting to get that perfect shot so they can take the tank out of the battle.
Sure.
Because a gun, taking out a gun, far more important than HP. I'd rather lose an entire, tank and a half's worth of HP over 2 people, than lose a single gun.
One tank. Sure.
Most of the time. Most of the time.
In most positions, that's the case. More damage to focus on your enemies, so more tanks go down. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're into our next battle. eLevate has 4 victories. They just need 1 more to take it. Let's see if it can win a full clean sweep onto steps. Let's get right into it and take a look at what we've got for our tanks.
eLevate really needs this one. RU251. 5 T54 lightweights and a 59-16. Rival with a T32, RU251, 3 T54 lightweights and 2 WZ131s. Looks like they're confident they can just get that brawl in. They dropped the M44 on eLevate's side, and that could be a huge mistake. But eLevate cannot afford to mess around with this game at all. This isn't just about win or loss for them right now. They have to win for a full 3. They're in contention at a certain amount of points. They need every single one of them. This match is just as important as the overall battle to them. They need this one, not the next one, this one.
All right, well, let's see if they can take it, because a tiebreaker is not what they're looking for. Just 1 more victory, and they are on the offense against Steps. They did it the first time. Can they do it a second time? That is the question, ladies and gentlemen. Or can Rival, a team coming from the Silver League, hold out against this team that they've been practicing with for a year, it seems like, coming now through all 7 members of eLevate, a huge push focusing over on that northern cap. Something very concentrated coming out there. David, speaking, we were kind of talking a little bit about eLevate's defensive style. It's a very spread, very controlled style when it comes to them on the defending side.
Typically.
On the offense, that's right, typically. On the offense, is there any way to translate your control, or is it a lot harder to do coming from the from the other side?
Yeah, it's about proper sight lines and angles of fire. So you push people up to specific positions where they can spot new things, and you have backup support there. So every move you make is supported the entire time. You're not really gambling anything.
Okay.
You can do it, and it's controlling the amount of options the enemy team has and forcing them to respond the way that you want.
Okay.
So again, it's the same principles, control, right?
Right.
I like what eLevate's doing here a little bit. It is a risk, but they need a risk. They need to go big or go home right now. Go hard in the paint, Christian, as we've said a number of times.
That's right.
And they're coming close to the paint. If they round all the way over here to the east, they better not put on the brakes, or it's going to be a problem. 3 54s flanking around. I was wondering why they let out so much blind fire in the beginning. And there's no real reason not to. But in this instance, I think they were trying to let Rival know they had most of their tanks in the north in order to goad Rival into pushing into the south again. And they are already setting up a trap. And HK and Anubis are
here we go. Anubis walking right into the trap. 782 points in that T54. He has to continue going. He cannot put on the brakes either, or he will surely be going down. Now here comes the rest of the push coming out for eLevate, running on the way through. They're going to try to close onto Anubis, find this overmatch while he can. He is caught off. He just needs to run, but I'm not sure he can make it for too far. Static is on the chase. Dark God's Zim turning around as well. A shot going out. Let's see if he turns it. No, the tank now finally turned the turret. Dark God's Zim lining the shot. Let's see, 2 shots going in, just 1 connecting. Let's see if Anubis can just do his job in trying to stall this out as much as possible to allow Rival to get into better positions here. And he's on his way going through, making it actually a lot further than I would expect. There's another shot going through, just 6 health remaining. 1 more shot and he'll go down. And over in the east, HK taking some damage. Finally, Emerald going to pick up Anubis. The Jago taking his shots as well. World War II Fnatic getting a little bit of fire there on Dark Zim. And here comes the battle. eLevate pushing on through. Team Rival is a tank down, but Amarlee is kind of out of the fight. So let's see who's going to take it. The tank on tank. Let's see who's going to come out on top. Like we're saying, eLevate needs this one extremely. Django going extremely low in his WZ-131. Urtai pushing in. The shots going through the focus fire. A nice line defense coming out for eLevate. Let's see if it works out from Valkyrie. Finding Zone Delta. A Team D4 going down. But G-Forcer's going to pick up Urtai here. One tank exchanging for one. The Django coming around the side. Azrael and Dark God's in. Back-to-back kills. Hall doing his best to claw his way back, but just 3 tanks remain. And Static picking up HK. It looks like eLevate's going to do it. It looks like they're going to get the victory that they so desperately need to find the positioning in this Season 1 Gold League. Hall being surrounded now. G-Forcer coming from the back. Static with the ram damage. G-Forcer picking that one up. And now just World War II Fnatic gonna remain. They is being surrounded. eLevate. A beautiful victory there. Static coming through. The rest of the team firing the shots. World War II Fnatic just trying to do what he can. Taking a shot and Dark Guts hit. It's not going to be enough. Static goes down. eLevate picking up the victory. 5-3 here on our first match of the night. That probably got a lot closer than eLevate was hoping, but man, they pulled it out. And like you said, they took that risk. And it worked out for
closer
him.
than anybody was probably expecting. I mean, I'm not even sure Rival expected it to get
Really?
that down.
Oh, good for them. They did great.
Rival's a great team.
Absolutely.
When they play well, and they know that. But I don't know. I've never really been in their team speak during a match, but I don't know if they expected themselves to be able to perform that level. What I would love to know is exactly what the team speak, what the voice communication of eLevate sounded like throughout that whole match. I would predict.
Okay.
I've never been in there again, so don't take my word on this. I would predict it's some amount of tilt going in Lake Phil, people arguing and whatnot. Then it gets into steps and they get a couple wins underneath them. And then when they come down to this strategy, it's all probably just like aggression and anger. Where they're just like, put him in the ground, get it over with.
Awesome.
Because that's what it looked like.
Yeah, well, fantastic aggression coming out from eLevate there in that final matchup. Taking the victory, like we were saying, 5-3. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our first match done. Match number 2. Maple Freedom versus High Voltage coming up right after this quick break.